Hello, I'm Laura Gott from Gott Brothers Orchard, and today I'm going to show you how to make apple crisp. First thing you do is you got to spray your pan with the oil, non-stick spray. And we're going to put our apples in that we already sliced and peeled. There's probably about, I would guess, 12 apples in this pan. We might not need all of them. But we combine Honeycrisp and Jonathan. The Jonathan is nice and tart to keep the flavor through the cooking process. And I added the Honeycrisp so that, because the Jonathans are kind of soft, so we put the Honeycrisp in for a little more texture because they're more firm. So that's about how full you want it. The next thing you're going to do is the topping, which you have your 1.5 cups of flour in this case, 1.5 cups of oatmeal. I put in a little more cinnamon because I like cinnamon than the recipe calls for, so it's 3/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then we're going to mix that together. Then comes the hard part, mixing in the butter. We have 2 cubes of butter, which is 1 cup, and 1/2 cup of butter flavored Crisco, just to save on the expense. And we already started preheating our oven at 350 degrees. So you want to take, if got a little harder butter than we want, so you want a little softer butter so you can incorporate it in with your wire whisk or pastry cutter, whatever you like to use. Here's a tip: if you ever get your butter a little bit too firm and you don't want to wait for it to warm up in your kitchen tube, you can always stick it in the microwave on defrost for 10 seconds only, or else it'll melt too much. Okay. Finally, we resorted to just doing the old-fashioned way with the 2 knives because we want the crust to be crumbly but not melted and not too dry, but just so it will spread over the top of the apples evenly. So now we're adding our nuts. We're just going to mix them in a little bit. So we put in 1/2 cup of chopped walnuts. You can always put a little bit more in if you want, like maybe not as much as 1/4 cup more, but and you can use pecans or whatever kind of nuts you like. Walnuts work really good. Now we're adding the brown sugar, which is 1.5 cups. Now we're going to put a couple dashes of nutmeg in. So we don't want it to get too glommed together, which is starting to happen because it's getting too warm, but it'll be all right. So, and our secret ingredient, Gott Brothers apple cider. For a little more moisture, we can put about maybe 1/4 cup on the apples, especially if they've been stored a while. Restore some of that moisture. So we're going to just put the crumb mixture on top of the apples in as much a even manner as you can. And it'll kind of soak down when it cooks into the apples, and then the crust will get crunchy, and you want it golden brown. It takes about 50 to 60 minutes at 350, and I like to kind of watch so we don't get it too brown on top, because it will change the flavor if the crumble mixture is too done. But you also can put in you can tell if it's apples are done by the bubbliness on the sides, and you can also stick a knife into them and see how tender they are. Now these have been stored a while, so they're going to get tender pretty fast. So 50 minutes is probably good on this one. I like to put a foil on the bottom of my oven so that in case it drips over, we won't have to clean the oven. And a perfect way to while away the time while you're waiting for your yummy apple crisp to come out of the oven is to drink a cup of Gott Brothers apple cider.